Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the American P-61C-1. A fantastic plane, an interesting plane. A plane that can carry bombs, which has radar, it has an air brake. It is possible to fly this plane in multiple roles, of course. You can be a close air support, she can be a support fighter, you can boom and zoom with her. She has great guns, she has a very interesting turret on top. Big target though. There is some downsides of course to a plane like this. But yeah, it is great again to fly the Black Widow. Fantastic plane. The night fighter. Of course that is what the radar is meant for. It's just that in War Thunder we don't have night matches anymore. At least I've not had them anymore in a long time. So that radar is basically useless. The air brake can be nice in dives and stuff like that. Have people overshoot. Of course, as you know me a little bit, I used it most as a support fighter slash boom and zoomer. You do get an air start in this thing. And in most maps you will be able to be one of the highest planes out there, and with the guns she can be great as a boom and zoomer. Have to be carefully deployed though. You have to be careful about your dives because of course the plane is big, has a lot of drag. It's not the greatest in energy fights, but it's not the worst either because of these two massive engines. These engines are very powerful and it has two of them. Of course the plane is big so it needs it, but damn, the power to weight ratio is not even that bad with these engines, man. Fantastic. So how good is this plane? How fast is it? The maximum speed in the P-61C-1 is 509 at sea level without WEP, 551 with at 4,500 meters, still go up to 458 without WEP and 500 with WEP. And finally at 6,500 meters you can take the plane to 430 without WEP and 475 with WEP. Now that is great speed at high altitude. These engines, it keeps just giving power even at high altitude. And that is a great thing to have. It stays rather fast in a straight line. Of course the acceleration isn't as great as some of the single engined fighters out there, but it is still more than decent. Top speed in a dive is 690 before she redlines, 760 before she rips apart. Now that is of course not great at all compared to most fighters in the American line. That is actually pitiful, but it is logical. This plane is not really built for boom and zooming, but as an energy fighter she doesn't do half bad in War Thunder. Not half bad at all, actually pretty good. You just have to be careful with upcoming planes and just judging their energy, calculating your energy. Usually you have the energy advantage, you're up on a higher altitude, so there is that. Control stiffening, it's not that bad actually. It ticks in only very late, but you start off with bad roll rate anyway, so the ticks that you get do make it even worse. Maybe to atrocious level. At 600 kilometers an hour and 700 kilometers an hour you have these small ticks in the compression of the ailerons, but all in all it's bad and it doesn't become much worse, let's say, but it's still bad, the roll rate. So you have that. The stall speed is around 115 thanks to these massive engines. That is pretty good for a plane like this. Firepower is excellent. Actually you run with 4 AN M2 cannons with 200 rounds per gun. And then you have the single 4x 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun turret. So it has 450 cals in it with about 560 rounds per gun, which is pretty good for a turret. The turret is placed on top, so you're gonna have to angle the plane correctly to use the turret. Otherwise it is a bit of a, you know, it's on top, so when people attack you from below, which is often where they attack from, you're not going to be able to use it unless you angle the plane correctly and you get your switching done efficiently. Now you need the shortcuts for that to go immediately to the different things, which I not often use myself because I don't fly turreted planes too often. But I think when you get that down, you angle the plane and you jump into the gun seat and you jump back, I think it can be pretty effective, that 50 cal, when you cannot get the guns on target and you, for example, make a few turns around somebody. Somebody will probably close with you and eventually get into a fire solution to you. But if you can use that 50 cal while he's trying to get to that point, you probably shoot them out of the sky in no point. So I think this plane could actually be even better to the short experience that I had in it. I had to get used to it a couple of matches, but I flew this before when it came out and I completely hated it back then. I now changed my ways. I kind of like this plane. A couple of more years of experience, eh? Let's say that. But yeah, it's a great plane when it comes to that. You can really make this thing work. It's beastie. You can also equip this plane with 2 bomb sets, 4 500-pound bombs or 4 1,000-pound bombs. What the ammo? The ammo is good, very good on the turret. The ammo belts that are usable are all of them actually. The default belt has high explosive fragmentation incendiary shell and an armor piercing tracer shell. Then you have the universal belt, which has 2 of both, so that has the same 50-50 calibration there. The ground target belt has 3 APT rounds and 1 heavy belt. The air belt has the other way around, 3 heavy shells and 1 APT shell, and the stealth belt has 3 heavy shells. So, and that also has a surprise factor, of course. So the most high explosive fragmentation shells in the stealth belt theoretically has the most firepower when it comes to that, but the other belts are usable as well for different reasons. You can use them if you want. Now the turret ammo is the default is a tracer shell, AP incendiary, API shell, and then you have armored with 3 AP shells and a tracer shell, and then the universal belt with 3 times API and a tracer shell. The universal will give you the most fires, and the armored belt will be most interesting for ground targets if you can actually hit them with it. I don't know. I haven't found the use of that. But maybe some people have. You know, you can even angle them towards ground targets, I guess. But that's not something I would do. I've never used it for it. I can't see that, but being very efficient. But it could. Who knows? Maybe I've seen some crazy ground attack tactics in my day. So who knows? So yes, he's very well armored. Great guns, both in the turret. 450 cals in the turret is fantastic, and those 4 20mm cannons are absolutely racking to enemy planes. Now the acceleration in this plane in a straight line and in a dive is decent, nothing terribly good, but the engine power makes up for it, for the drag. Energy retention in the horizontal is average, in the vertical slightly above average. It feels actually with Webb, you know, in the verticals, he's not half bad, and for a plane this big, that is actually above average. Climb rate in the plane is decent. You have bad turn time, below average with flaps. The flaps rip off at around 370 kilometers an hour, which is very early. Flaps are very flimsy. They fly off very quickly, and you just got to be careful using them because it's a liability in maneuvers. Roll rate is bad. Maneuverability overall is bad. Overheating in the plane is not great. She overheats quite fast, even at 100%. And it cools off quite slowly as well, so you're going to be without power if you overheat the engine into the amber. You don't want to go into a dogfight or any maneuvers because with Webb, because then you will go into the red quite quickly. Durability in the plane is good. It can take a load of damage, which is always nice to have. It does have 2 powerful engines, so you come a long way to home with only 1 engine. Repair cost is 4,504 Silver Lions, which is very high. It's one of the highest repair costs at this battle rating, 4.0. So yeah, it's not great, man. It's not great, that repair cost. The rewards in this plane, research points has a 308% modifier, and Silver Lions has a 252% modifier. Now the research point one is very good, and the Silver Lion one is also good. So for researching the tree, and earning Silver Lions, as long as you don't die too often, it can be good, this plane, absolutely. I mean, the repair cost is high, but that is compensated by high reward modifiers, which is actually quite nice to have. This can be a very enjoyable plane if you want to specialize in these kind of planes, absolutely. So as I said, she can be flown as a close air support, going down low with the 20 millimeters. You can shoot medium tanks with those these days, right? No problem. You have 4 bombs with you, also quite nice. So she can be quite effective in ground RB as well. Boom and zooming is possible in it, but not long runs. Short boom and zoom runs is the way to go in this plane, and she's quite sturdily built for that. Support fighting is where you mainly want to use it. You don't want to be the focal point of a dogfight, although if you're practiced at using this turret, it can be devastating for people trying to get a beat on you as they turn with you, because you can get the 50 cal in the right angle, right? I mean, the practice makes perfect when it comes to that. I'm not perfect at it, but still, revisiting this plane has really made me frown upon my early review many years ago, which I didn't like this plane, but I was just not using it correctly in those days. This plane is good, and it just has a niche window in where you want to use it. You can go ground pounding, but I personally wouldn't use it that way. You die way too soon that way. You get an air spawn. With the decent climb rate that this plane has, you can get into positions on enemy planes. Apart from the biggest maps out there, people can climb above you, but otherwise you on the small and medium maps, you are one of the highest planes. Usually you can suffer head on to get somebody out of the way, and then boom and zoom your way down. It is a very effective plane when you use that strategy, and I've been surprised, pleasantly surprised by this, by the performance that I got out of it with this revisit. And yeah, man, this is a good plane. I would definitely visit her. Black Widow is now one of my more favorite bigger planes out there, and if I had the time to specialize in a plane, this would be one of the planes that I would choose to do that. She is a beast and very enjoyable to fly indeed. Now let's have a look at the stat card for the 5 kill match, the first one. It's actually an up tier. We've got Final Blow, Survivor, Terror of the Sky, almost 50,000 Silver Lions and 13,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now the P-61C-1, man. 4.0 battle rating, the Black Widow. I love the badass look of this plane. She is beastly. And she has 4 20mm offensive guns. Cannons, very effective guns. You have the 4 50 cal turret on top, which is, I guess, the more you use this plane, the more you get proficient in angling the plane and tapping out of the different views. It can be fantastic, I would say. Now, I visit planes way too shortly to become a full master with the plane. I'm just using it as I intuitively think I should use it. And you know, the more experience you grow as a pilot, the better you get at that. So when I last visited this plane, I didn't like it. Now I have a different view. This plane can be devastating on most maps. Some of the bigger maps are problematic because then people can actually catch up with you while climbing, the good climbers, and you will not be able to go into the boom and zoom / energy fight mode that this plane can excel at. But on most maps, small and medium maps, you can. And with that air start and a decent climb rate, you will be up there and you will wreak havoc on the enemy team. And I guess the more you fly her, the better you get at it as well. So yeah, man, this plane is great. Fun plane. Surprising for such a big plane. The engine power in these engines is absolutely amazing. You should check it out. I'm not gonna tell you. Gonna keep it as a surprise what the horsepower is compared to some of the other planes at this battle rating. And this one has 2. But big plane as well, right? Big target, that's the downside. But anyway, guys, I had fun. I definitely had fun in the C1. And hopefully you had fun too watching this. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.